Sounds good, Brian. We're nearly 1 year after the governor announced a safer at home order. We revisit the decision to shut down businesses and keep people home, and the fallout felt around Wisconsin as the debate reached the state Supreme Court.
Ryan Jenkins worked on this report earlier. He goes 360 into the decision to shut the state down.
To gain a full perspective, we're going 360, providing in-depth perspectives from people on all sides of the conversation, including a doctor who says with orders in place longer, we may have been able to open sooner. An advocate for bars and restaurants who says the industry may never recover. Two politicians on both sides of the aisle. One who felt the governor overstepped his authority in issuing a safer at home order, and another who believes the move was necessary. We start with a Milwaukee restaurant owner who, despite the ease of local restrictions, has chosen to not reopen for in-person dining.
I think that there were things that could have really helped us get through this faster.
Melissa Buchholz owns Odd Duck in Bayview. It was once an intimate dine-in only experience, but when the pandemic hit, Melissa and her team switched to carry-out and delivery only. And 1 year later, it remains that way.
We may have felt comfortable opening at some point if we would have been able to keep cases down.
She remembers the governor's safer at home order providing consistency in responding to the pandemic and the uncertainty that came 2 months later when the state Supreme Court struck that order down.
For me, it was bad news. So I wanted us to stay as close as possible to get through the pandemic as fast as possible.
Democratic State Senator Janet Bewley says the safer at home order created a unified response to the threat of COVID-19. The day it went into effect, the state had around 600 confirmed cases of COVID. In May, by the time the order was overturned, that number ballooned to nearly 11,000.
It turned into an argument, an ideological argument. And it shouldn't have gotten there. We should have kept it a medical emergency, and that quickly fell apart.
She wonders how things may have looked had the order not been overturned.
I think that had there been a clearer opportunity for the governor to have his observations recognized, observed, held to, that we could have had a different outcome. We'll never know.
Republican State Representative Adam Nealon sees things differently.
Nobody in government should have the ability to say what businesses are essential, what people are essential.
Nealon is signing on to support new legislation that would take away the ability of the state to order stay-at-home orders without following specific procedures. It would also prohibit the governor from declaring any business as essential or non-essential.
I think we need to protect the ability and the right to go to work, to make a living. A lot of the non-essential businesses are small businesses that were shut down. And small businesses are the background of our economy in Wisconsin.
According to a nonprofit organization at Harvard University, the number of small businesses open in Wisconsin dropped 28% since the start of the pandemic. Revenue for leisure and hospitality businesses dropped by nearly 50%.
In the best of times, it's difficult for this industry to succeed. But if we were to have an order like that still in place, there would be no industry.
Scott Stinger with the Tavern League of Wisconsin says the overturning of the safer at home order saved thousands of Wisconsin businesses like bars from going under. The Tavern League estimates nationwide bars and restaurant workers lost $24 billion in wages and nearly 1 million jobs. The league says in order to not lose more workers, businesses need more funding.
We need to move forward and look at ways we can help the industry on the state level.
From a medical standpoint, doctors will never know if leaving the safer at home order in place would have helped Wisconsin rebound from the pandemic faster. Dr. Jeff Potoff with UW Health compares Wisconsin to other states and other places internationally where strict lockdowns were enforced.
They did much better than we did in controlling the pandemic. They had fewer cases, which is great. They saved lives. But they also got back to normal much quicker because they snuffed out the virus much quicker.
With COVID cases trending down and vaccine rates trending up, he cautions reopening to 100% capacity too quickly in cities like Milwaukee.
You can't go full scale one way because then your risk is so high that you're just going to find yourself turning it back and no one wins in that situation.
That was our Ryan Jenkins reporting. And of course, everyone on all sides of these conversations is looking forward to the return to normalcy. They hope it happens by the end of this year. In the meantime, more financial assistance, especially from the state, is something Wisconsin business owners are fighting for.
And for additional perspective on where we are, a year ago, as Ryan said, 600 total cases of COVID in Wisconsin. That's this big number right here, now up to 570 plus thousand. But that's a macro number. It tells us how many cases total. It doesn't really tell us much about the spread of the virus. For that, we've been looking at the number of new cases every day on a 7-day average. For perspective, end of May, a couple weeks after Safer at Home had been lifted, that number was 446. Today, 10 months after that, number is 440. So where are we right now? About where we were at the end of May. This is a number, Susan, as you might recall, was once over 6,500. So certainly better than we were at peak in mid to late November.